Hi, and welcome back to Thone's Hebrews Nibbles, number 173. Concluding Religious Directions, Section 1. The Spiritual Rulers on Earth, Part 5 of 5. This is the last one of this group. Issues with previous ordained leadership. Again, this comes from Hebrews chapter 13, verses 7 through 11. And we're going to talk about the lack of specialness of the Levites. Now, that's a strange thing to be talking about here, but I think you'll catch on here. Why is this in the Bible? We see where the true power and holiness comes from. And the communications, the privilege of being a Levite was only earthly. Yes, a Levite was allowed to do certain things in the tabernacle or the temple which other people were not allowed to do. But that was only an earthly chore and has nothing to do with heaven. Application to me. We note that usually the priests and Levites were given the meat remaining after the sacrifice. That was the way it was called out. That's how God did not give them a place to farm. They did not own part of the promised land, so they were fed by the leftovers of the sacrifices that all the other people who had farms gave. However, we're going to have to note this. Not so on the Day of Atonement, when it was burned outside the camp or city. However, when they could eat them, they were still not given any special power or holiness. That is, there were times that even the Levites could not partake of the sacrifice. But when they could, which was most of the time, it did not give them any special power or holiness. It was simply their reward for doing their job, just like a paycheck or anything else. Ephraim the Syrian, this is a reference to the doctrines of the Levitical priests and their offerings. It is well that the heart is strengthened by grace, that is, to be made firm by the new gospel, not by the restrictions of the priests about food. Those who practice this way of life obtain no profit from these rules. That is, those who observe them were not purified, nor had eternal life in them. And this comes from Ephraim the Syrian on his commentary on the epistle to the Hebrews. So we just point out that although the Jewish people, and rightly so, honored and respected the Levites because it was through them that they were able to sacrifice to God and to learn more about God and to keep going on with their year-to-year salvation. But there was nothing special about them. They executed their job in a holy area, so they had to obey certain rules more carefully perhaps than others. But aside from that, there was nothing special about them. They did not become saved because of the way they treated the entrails of a goat or something. That isn't what the point was. They were the people who kept the Jewish religion going, and since that was God's will, then that was good. But that was not anything special. God says those who exercise a sacrifice were rewarded in a physical way, the meat, or the grain, or the wine, whatever the sacrifice was. Not an eternal way. That is, they weren't given, if they carefully did that from the age 20 to age 40, which was the time that people were allowed to serve in the tabernacle or the temple. Just 20-year-olds were the rookies, and 40-year-olds were the people who retired. They were not given any eternal gift for that. Now, it's entirely possible that because of all of this, they received a normal gift, like anyone else, but not so for just doing their work. Now, my response is, Lord, thank you for showing us where true spirituality comes from. True spirituality.